Hello and welcome to Take Time. I'm your host Patrick Marlatt, and today we are talking about the Seals Watch Company Model C Field Explorer. This isn't the first Seals watch to be featured on the channel, nor will it be my last. Michael over at Seals Watch Company designed some of the most interesting products within the watch world, and not solely among micro brands. From the Model A that this piece closely resembles to the Dark Seal we've reviewed in the past, the Model C is a rugged field watch ready for adventure. However, how has this tank of a watch stood up in day-to-day use? As with all my reviews, I like to start with the bad and then move on to the good before giving my final verdict on a review item. So without further ado, let's talk Field Explorer. Before we begin the video, I'd like to personally thank Michael over at Seals Watch Company for lending in another one of his watches for review. I absolutely love his designs, and this is a piece I've been anticipating since I first saw it. So thank you, Michael, for sending this my way. Now, while we're down here, this measures 40.5 millimeters in diameter. It's 48 millimeters from wired lug end to wired lug end. It's 11.4 millimeters thick and features 22 millimeter lug widths. This 200-meter water-resistant chassis will come in 3 separate flavors: the black and brushed stainless steel case we have here, as well as a blue dial version of this same case. And lastly, there's a blue dial variant with what they call vintage style case over on the website. The only way I can explain it is that it looks like a tank ran over it, but in the best way possible. It's got a very rugged, beat-down appearance, as if it were a vintage timepiece. Now, on top of that, we have a sapphire crystal, and just underneath the dial, we have an STP 111. That movement has been regulated in 5 separate positions to plus or minus 4 to 6 seconds a day. Now, the watch will come with a waxed canvas roll bag, which is seen behind us here, a leather strap, which unfortunately I didn't get in with the piece, and a choice of accessory. Now, amongst the offerings, I picked this fog gray canvas strap. I'll encourage you to check out the rest of the offerings on Seals' site. Now, all of these Model Cs will come in at around $640. Honestly, there's not a whole lot I dislike about the Model C here, unless you're not a fan of the case design in general, which can be a bit polarizing due to its unconventional styling. But speaking of the case's design, I find that the buckle of the Model C's canvas strap offering clashes with the look of the watch. Its large and perfectly curved frame has little in common with the Model C's rigid, almost coffin-like design. If you look over at Seals' collection and take a look at the buckle that comes with the Model A's leather offering, that's the one that should have come here. This is obviously a minor complaint, but in my opinion, a stylistic miss. Also, the hexagonal crown on the side of the case, while aesthetically the perfect match for this watch, can be a bit rough on the fingers. Its 7mm diameter frame isn't the most comfortable crown to grip and or operate. I certainly wouldn't look to change either the scale or look of it, but if you rotate through your watches often, it can be unforgiving in practice. In other words, try to keep this one wound. Aside from the buckle on the canvas strap offering being an aesthetic miss and the crown being a bit rough around the edges, the Model C Field Explorer is a knockout design. The hexagonal patterning that makes this watch so attractive doesn't just stop with the crown or even the case, but if you look closely at the seconds hand, you'll notice that the counterbalance end features another hexagonal pattern. The attention to detail is evident with every measurement of the dial. The handset's length, the spacing of the hour markers from their 24-hour counterparts, and the height of the raised minute track are all perfectly proportioned. While the idea of a Cali dial has been toyed with over at Seals Watch Company, and although I'd still love to see one, I think the choice of Arabic numerals works so well with the 3, 6, and 9 rectangles and triangle over at 12. The STP-111 featured here has a date complication that has been consciously omitted from the dial. There is still that initial step when going to set the time, but that's become an expectation of any watch featuring a movement that has a date, with or without it being exhibited. And while I wouldn't change the way the dial was executed, I'll take the good with the bad here, as I know plenty of you like your watches to feature a date. Go ahead and let me know in the comments, and perhaps Michael, if he's reading through them, if you'd like to see a Model C with that date exposed. I do think it could be added in an aesthetically pleasing way, perhaps over at the 6 o'clock. Anyways, just a thought. The design of the Model C's case was inspired by tanks of the 1940s, and although not one was specified as the clear point of inspiration for the Field Explorer, you can see its influences in the bold stature of its overall design. There really isn't another modern field watch design as striking as the Model C's. And with its 200-meter water-resistant case, you're good to take this piece anywhere. Now, before I give you my final verdict on the Model C Field Explorer, I'm going to provide you all with a wrist shot so you can see what this might look like on your wrist. I was fortunate enough to have a sit down with Michael just last year, talking about the brand, obviously, and his inspiration into getting into watchmaking, and obviously the future of the company as well. He's someone I'd love to have in for an interview because he's doing something very unique with his company. I'll say the Dark Seals is the most common case design amongst his range, but he's doing something different otherwise, and I really enjoy that. Now, here is the Model C on a 7¼ inch wrist for all of your admirers, and when you are going to admire it, it's going to look a little something like this. And here is the Field Explorer on a 7¼ inch wrist, and it is a ruggedly handsome design. I think it looks fantastic on that canvas strap offering, sans the buckle, but I do think it would look equally good on a nylon strap as well, though I do try to wear these on the offerings they come with. And that military aesthetic really shows through with the dial and the design of the case, but not only that, those wired lugs that are a nice throwback to earlier World War I trench-style watches. The only thing I'd like to see from the Model Cs moving forward, aside from a Cali dial option, is to see the Field Explorer done up in bronze. I think that would look fantastic. Honestly, this is a great addition to the Seals watch collection. And on a side note, how many of you would like to see this in an even thinner case with a hand-wound movement? You know, I get excited every time I take in this piece and keep looking at all the possibilities for this model in the future. This is just the start for Michael and his brand, and currently I'd say this is Seal's flagship design and the one to get if you're interested in buying into the Seals Watch Company brand. Now, if you found this video enlightening or in the least entertaining, feel free to hit that like button. It looks a whole heck of a lot like this guy. If you have friends, forums, or groups that are interested in picking up a Seals watch, particularly the Model C featured on the show today, feel free to share this video with them so they can get another consumer's opinion on the watch. Also, if you're new to the channel, well, welcome. I do videos like this 2 or more times a week, so if watch content is your thing, feel free to slam that subscribe button, and while you're down there, feel free to hit the little bell icon just next to that to be alerted as to when my videos air. Again, my name is Patrick Marlett, and thank you for the time.